Welcome to Brudiclad, Telchor Engineer. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. We've got Mana Crypt and Tezzeret, and that sounds like a pretty good plan. So we'll go and keep on this one. And our opponent's on the play, so hopefully we'll draw into another color source. But yeah, seeing Mana Crypt and Tezzeret and the opening hand, I'm like, yes, we will hopefully make that work. Other than that, it's a little bit suspect. With us having Mana Drain and Rite of Replication as a way to kind of make a copy of one of our opponent's tokens, or one of our opponent's creatures, that sounds like a pretty good plan. But yes, welcome to Brudiclad. Hope you're excited to get some blue-red tempo tokens on the battlefield. We're playing Brudiclad, Telchor Engineer. Creature tokens you control have haste. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. Playing against Maelstrom Wanderer. Creatures you control have haste, then Cascade and Cascade. So, if you don't know, playing against the man who rides on a horse with no name, the Maelstrom Wanderer, it's typically pretty gnarly sometimes. So hopefully we can oh yeah, I like this. Let's go Mana Crypt into Chromatic Lantern, just to kind of show up that Soul Ring, and that sounds beautiful. There we go. Chromatic Lantern, then anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. We're looking at 5 with Foundry of the Council. That will definitely be a Tezzeret online pretty quick, so hopefully we can kind of keep up with this Maelstrom Wonder over there. We did cover, yeah, it always feels nice when your opponent goes off with a Soul Ring or something like that, and then you respond with some other fast men, and you're like, all right, let's have some fun today. And yeah, so we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/Jolt MTG, that will apply my affiliate link that'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. In fact, if you do that, that is the best way to support the channel. So if you enjoy my content, hey, that is the best way to do it. You can click on the link down in the description below. You can visit that link, or you can actually click on the Brudiclad deck link. That will also apply that affiliate link. That way you can get yourself some cards and help support the channel. Also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you're going to play online, they are the best Magic Online local gaming store, digital local gaming store that you want to check out. Also, let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com. If you go to inkgaming.com/Jolt, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to look at some of my playmats over there. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time, and if you're keeping score, you're 0 for 1 on those Mana Crypt triggers, so I just want you to keep that in mind. We've got Foundry of the Council, so we do have Tezzeret. That will be, yeah, I mean, I guess that's not that bad. So we end up going Tezzeret, we're going to cash in an extra card draw. I think I do kind of like that. So what we can do, there's no other creatures. Yeah, let's do this. So we end up going for Tezzeret. And typically we like to plus up and draw, but I think, yeah, I think this will work out. Yeah, we just simply go for Tezzeret. Let's plus up on the Thopter token. That way if they decide not to swing in at Tezzeret, at least we can block with the Thopter on Tezzeret. And then once we go for 1 Power Stone, that'll put us on 2 card draw next turn. And that'll be pretty nice. So anything else past the turn. Yeah, that's a pretty good turn too from our side of the battlefield. And also we're playing against a friend of the channel over here. So it's always fun to get to play against people in the Magic Online room. All right, so we do have Thopter swinging in, not Thopter swing, sorry. Our opponent was talking in the chat, and I was like, hey, what's happening, buddy? And so, but yes, they're a friend of the channel. And so anyway, they've got Grand Warlord Rada swinging at Tezzeret, so we're definitely going to toss this Thopter in front of Tezzeret and go from there. But yes, it's always fun getting to play in the Magic Online room. So if you're on the fence about playing Magic Online, do most of my recording there. In fact, that's where I do all of my recording, because it's the only place I can do digital Magic. So if you want to jam some games, I am over there. And ooh, Zendikar Research. Okay, so we've got ourselves a we've got some fun going on both sides. Let's go for Tails on this one. That's going to be 1 the flip. We're 1 for 2 on those. And then Hate Mirage. Okay, that is actually really good. We just need our opponent to get down a non-legendary creature, and we might be able to set some stuff up with that. So at this point, we're looking at Trail of Evidence, instant or sorcery spell, Investigate. That will cut us off Mana Drain if we tap down. For Trail of Evidence, I think I kind of like leaving up Mana Drain. That's going to give us access to a lot of mana, potentially Hate Mirage. Let's try to do that. So let's go for 1 Power Stone. That's going to be 1, 2. And that still keeps us open on manager. Yeah, I definitely do like doing that. So let's go for we have the 0 ability that's going to allow us to draw some cards, and I think that's going to be the better option. All right, pull for tomorrow and remand. Okay, anything else we will pass the turn. So if we can cash in Maelstrom Wonder off of that Zendikar Resurgent, that's going to allow us to get some extra mana drain mana on our side of the battlefield next turn. That'll really allow us to kind of power some stuff out. We kind of have 2 lines of play that we're going for next turn. We've got Rite of Replication that's going to be kicked if we do get this mana drain to stick. If not, we're looking at going for Brudiclad, and then somehow we can set up a Hate Mirage. One of the cool things about playing Brudiclad is that there's a lot of times where it feels like you're going to lose because you're just trying to build this tempo deck. But what you're trying to do is just get enough resources going on your side of the battlefield, get a few tokens going, and then use something like Hate Mirage to make a copy of, their 4/4 mid-range creature. Next thing you know, you have, 5, 6, 7 tokens that are 4/4s value threat. That's really going to allow you to Zendikar Resurgent, sure. That's really going to allow you to end up with this really sizable board state. But you can see we don't really have a ton of tokens on the battlefield right now. But hopefully with this Rite of Replication or something like that, we can get some pretty good stuff moving on our side of the battlefield. Maelstrom Wonder is coming in at 8 total mana, and they do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we're probably going to see Maelstrom Wonder. We definitely don't want to pass on 8 mana with mana drain. And so what we're going to try to do is, if this is Wonder, we're going to try to cash that in. They do get the Cascade option, so we'll see what's in store for us. But going for mana drain on that, yes, sign me up. That sounds beautiful. Hopefully that'll kickstart us next turn. So let's see what's in store for us with Cascade. All right, that's going to be Druid. Okay. But at the end of the day, if we just make a bunch of Rite of Replications with Druid, that's a ton of mana, and we can get some pretty good damage going on our side. And then Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. Ooh, that's going to be a 2/3. Yeah, I think that... That's a ton of mana. It's a lot of tokens over there. Okay, so definitely could have been a lot worse, that Maelstrom Wonder Cascade option, and so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Still, at the end of the day, we're just looking at Rada swinging in with a 3/4, and so that's really going to help us still protect Tezzeret, get another token on the battlefield. I think that's still going to give them... One or more. Oh no, excuse me. That's just going to give him access to 1 green mana with Rada swinging in. So we do see Rada swinging in at Tezzeret. That will put Tezzeret down to 3. But yeah, once we get those tokens on the battlefield, if we can somehow swing Brudiclad too, that's going to be a pretty good option. And then also, if we do end up going, because that's going to be 12 mana for Brudiclad, and then we're also looking at 9 mana for a kicked Rite of Replication, which I don't think... Actually, we'll have 8 from Mana Drain, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so we've got a pretty potent turn next turn. And especially if we use Shaman, because they're going to have haste, it's going to be some extra mana. Yeah, we'll see what we've got assembled. Let's just kind of see what we draw into. Even with Hate Mirage, I mean, that's almost something we can hold on to. But yeah, let's just kind of get the turn going on our side and see what's going to happen. So that's going to be Mana Crypt Trigger. Let's go and choose Tails on this bad boy. That's going to be Tails on this Mana Crypt Trigger. I think we're 1 for 3 on those. And then we draw into Swiftfoot Boots. Okay. And then we're going to add that 8 mana to our mana pool with Mana Drain, which is just, oh, that is just absolutely beautiful. So at this point right now, we don't have a land drop to make, but it's really not that crucial that we make the land drop. So I think at this point, if we want to have some fun... I think the best bet is Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. I think that's going to be a pretty good option. So let's go for Rite of Replication. Oh, but here's the downside. We will have only access to 3 color mana. And if we're going to go Brudiclad and that, we need to get another one. So let's do this. Let's go for the 0 ability. Hopefully we draw into a couple... all right, unfortunately we don't. I was hoping we were going to hit the land drop for the turn. But still, even going for Rite of Replication kicked on Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, worse things could be done. And that still kind of puts us up next turn for a Brudiclad option. So let's go Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. Let's tap down all this colorless mana. All right, oh, look at that. So we got all the Shamans of the Forgotten Ways on the battlefield. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have access to, yeah, I think that'll work out. So let's go Gilded Lotus, because that'll really help us power out some other stuff next turn. So there we go. Tap down 2 more. And then anything else that we want to end up going for, we're going to have Remand online. And yeah, I think that'll be a good option. So we can leave up Remand because we don't want to, if we end up going for Swiftfoot Boots, that'll really kind of complicate it. So anything else, let's go and pass the turn. So we've got a lot of tokens on the battlefield. We also have two really good options in our hand, Hate Mirage and Supplant Form. You know, these are one of the ways that allow us to kind of close the game out because you can see we have our 5 tokens on the battlefield. And that's also kind of why I call this deck kind of like a blue-red tempo deck, because it may seem like we're not doing much, and then all it takes is a really good tempo play like a mana drain or something like that to get access to a lot of mana, and that really allows us to kind of end up with an instant board state and then simply just make a copy of another creature. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to have access to a ton of mana next turn. So we'll see what we would end up going for, but at least having that option, you know, 3 of these creatures will end up being our Brudiclad if we want to tap them down, but at least just having access to that Formidable, that's another good option too. So, all right, so our opponent's going to tap down. Let's see what they end up getting for the turn. We do have Remand. Thankfully, that's going to allow us to stop Maelstrom Wonder from coming down, and they still get the Cascade, but the good thing is it's going to allow us to not have to deal with all of their creatures having haste. That is not that good. Time Spiral. Let's see. So exile it. Each player then draws 7 cards. So let's do this. So let's go Remand on Maelstrom Wanderer. Now, if our opponent doesn't send Maelstrom Wanderer back to the command zone, I think it will get shuffled up. We'll see how they want to do this. But and they might have a counterspell in response to that. So we'll see. Oh, excuse me. We're tapping down for 8 total mana. There we go. It's going to send Brudiclad back, and I think that went back into their hand. Oh, and then we actually draw into Counterspell, which is just absolutely wonderful. All right, so we have Counterspell. Let's see what this last Cascade option is. That's a beautiful, and look at this Counterspell art too. That's going to be Bloodbraid Elf. And it's going to be Paradise Druid. This is, we got Manadork Tribal over here. I love this. They're going to be bringing the pain here in a second. That's going to be Paradise Druid coming down. That's going to be an extra card draw from Zendikar Resurgent. They still have the option, actually with the Maelstrom Wonder, I think it went back into their library off of that shuffle effect. So it looks like we're going to be able to dodge that, at least at this point right now. Now, with all this extra mana on the battlefield, they've got a huge Itlamok Cradle. That's going to be a ton of mana over there. So we'll see what else is in store for us. At least we do have the safety valve of Counterspell. At this point right now, with us having, we do have Mystical Tutor, which allows us to kind of grab anything we want out of the library. And so that could be Cyclonic Rift. We'll kind of see what we need to assemble. But let's kind of let them get this turn over with, dumping all the creatures. And then we'll kind of talk about what we have in store for us next turn. Okay, so that will be Maelstrom Wonder again. That's going to be for a sacrifice a creature, circle library for a land. Okay. That's just simply going to be an enchantment, and then Birds of Paradise off that Maelstrom Wanderer. And let's go ahead and go for this Counterspell on, on Maelstrom Wanderer, and that should cut them off any excess mana. I mean, maybe they've got enough with Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, but I think that's going to be good on that one. Because at the end of the day, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We do have 10 total mana. So that does put us on going for Upkeep, a Mystical Tutor, Cyclonic Rift. So we'll see. Ooh, but all the creatures are going to have haste. Okay. This is... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They got Greater Good on the battlefield. Okay, so this is looking pretty rough. The good thing about them just hitting a ton of mana dorks is that even though that they all have haste in the world of like 1/1s and 0/1s, the 2/3 is king. And so we're going to be able to hopefully chump block on a lot of these creatures. The only thing that we're looking out for is going to be some sort of combo win at this point right now with Greater Good. So let's kind of see what's in store for us. Kiki Jiki. Oh no. Never really super thrilled to see Kiki Jiki on your opponent's side. Okay, and they end up making a copy of a Druid. So they're going to go for some damage pinging. I kind of like this. All right, there we go. I'm going to send that over there. If we can land this Cyclonic Rift, I think that'll be really nice. There's a lot of good options in their hand, and that'll take a lot of rebuilding for next turn. It's almost like they're going to have to take the entire turn off to go for Zendikar Resurgent, because that's actually going to end up being a zeroed out Itlamok, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's going to be 6 total mana. So that might be our only option. I'm not a huge, Cyclonic Rift, You know, it's legal. You got to play it. And so it's pretty much looking like that's going to be our only out on this one, is the Mystical Tutor into Cyclonic Rift. So we'll see what else is in store for us. But that is a very sizable board state. I would love it if we can get a Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. If we have total power 8 or greater. Yeah, because it'll be 2, 4, 6. Yeah, we've got 10 total power. But they've got a ton of creatures over there. So if we could somehow set up a Cyclonic Rift with Shaman. Yeah, we can only spend that mana to cast creature spells. Okay. Let's think we can get cute tapping them down, but let's see what else is in store for us. Okay, so that's going to be Maelstrom. The only good thing is that none of these creatures have trample. So we are looking at a very sizable threat. We have lethal on the board from our opponent with that Aronis coming down. So the main point is they're going to have to throw one Shaman in front of Maelstrom Wanderer. And that'll put us at, that's going to be 5 more mana in their mana pool. So let's make sure we're looking at this right. That's going to be 8, that's going to be 14, and that's going to be 19. So we do have to offer up 2 different blocks on this. Otherwise, we'll be dead. And that's not a good way to close the game out. So they're going to add that mana to their mana pool. I guess at this point, we will go for Shaman, definitely on Maelstrom Wanderer. And then we'll go for another Shaman on Bloodbraid, because that'll put it at 8, and that'll be 13 damage coming across, and at least we'll stop the biggest threat, and we'll get rid of Bloodbraid Elf over there, so that'll be pretty good. So then we'll see what we can assemble for next turn. We do have Tezzeret online for drawing some extra cards, and so we'll see what's going to happen. But I think we might end up doing is that Cyclonic Rift, just to give us a little bit of an extra shot. We'll see. They also do have Greater Good in response to that, so we'll see what's going to happen. Okay, so that's going to be Green Warden coming down. And then our opponent's going to put Nature's Lore on top of their library with that Green Warden trigger. And they're going to go for a Nature's Lore, untapping that Devoted Druid. Now, I love the new art on Devoted Druid. That looks pretty good. I enjoy that. And so, yeah, it looks like they're going to pass the turn. They do have High Market online and Greater Good to draw some cards. So we'll see what's going to come out of this one for sure. But yeah, I think the best bet is still Mystical Tutor. What we can do is if we're going to draw with Tezzeret, we can end up going for Mystical Tutor in response to that. We do have Hour of Devastation, which is going to wipe the entire board out. But yeah, the main thing is we need to get rid of all that stuff over there. So yeah, let's do this. We're going to end up having to go Mystical Tutor. So we're going to go Mystical Tutor. We're going to grab ourselves Cyclonic Rift on this one. It's going to go on top of our library. It's still probably not looking so hot, even if we do Cyclonic Rift it back to their hand. All right, so we dodged the Mana Crypt trigger. That leaves us at 6. Let's make the land drop for the turn. Let's go ahead and Rift everything back to our opponent's hand. And one of the reasons why we're doing this is even if we were able to make a copy of one of our opponent's creatures, they still have a lot of sack outlets that's going to allow them to do a lot of stuff in response to this. So what we're doing now is we're just kind of forcing the issue. You know, we've got Chromatic Lantern, we still have Tezzeret draw to go for. We have some Shaman activations that will allow us to tap down for extra mana and simply get down Brudiclad. So we have a couple different options that we can go for, and especially with that Tezzeret draw. So we'll see what our opponent's going to do in response to this Cyclonic Rift. Okay, so that is everybody back to the hand. Let's go ahead and go for the Tezzeret activation. That's going to be 0 ability. We're going to draw 2 cards on this one. Dak Faden, there's no artifact that we can gain control of, but we can at least kind of dump Talisman out if we wanted to. I think the better bet is to still end up going for Brudiclad. Yeah, because we're going to get that extra mirror token, and that really sets us up next turn. So let's go blue-red off of Shaman. Okay, so that's going to be Brudiclad and then anything else. And we could have tapped down that last Shaman, but we just need extra tokens on the battlefield just in case. We will make a copy of that mirror token. There we go. Look at all these Shamans. This is what makes Brudiclad so much fun is I just love doing stuff like this. And then anything else. Yeah, we're definitely in a defensive manner. We don't really know what's in store for us next turn. I don't think they can close it out next turn, but potentially Maelstrom Wanderer. If they, either way, they're going to have to reset on something really big, whether it's Zendikar Resurgent or going for Maelstrom Wanderer. They do have 26 cards in the hand, so we'll see how they can assemble this. But yeah, even, playing Brudiclad, you end up with these fun board states where we've got a playset of a Shaman of Forgotten Ways on our side of the battlefield. So while our opponent is rebuilding their board state, I'm going to go ahead and let them do their thing, then I'll jump into commentary if there's something crucial that I need to talk about. Ooh, and they did make the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Guy's Cradle. So, all right, let's see what else they got. Okay, so we've got Maelstrom Wanderer coming down. It's going to be double Cascade. That's okay. Sylvan Scrying. We can definitely survive off of a Sylvan Scrying off of that. They've already got Guy's Cradle, so I'm not entirely sure what else they could grab. But yeah, let's get this Sylvan Scrying resolved. And that's going to be Karametra's Acolyte. So they still have access to Itlamok, which is going to be a pretty good amount of mana. The only downside is when Maelstrom Wanderer is sticking on the battlefield, that's going to give all of their creatures haste. It's immediately going to turn on all of their mana dorks to make mana. And then Karametra is going to be tapping down for tapping down for almost like 4. How much? That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Karametra tapped down for 7. So we did Cyclonic Rift their stuff back, but it looks like they might be able to grind this one out. We'll see. And once again, they still have a lot of mana dorks out there, so there's not a huge threat from our opponent other than just chump blocking on Maelstrom Wanderer. Ooh, and that's going to be a Green Sun Zenith for 8, which should be hoofing it up. We'll see what this Green Sun Zenith is going to be. But that, pretty sure Crater Hoof is 8. Oh, it's going to be Avenger of Zendikar. Okay. All right, so it's going to be a lot of... Well, that's a lot of plant tokens on the battlefield. My goodness. And I think if that's all they've assembled for the turn, we've got 1 damage that puts us down to 5. We do run into the issue of simply just not having enough blockers. So if we have to block out the entire board state, so it's going to be Shaman on Avenger, because that's 5. Shaman on Green Warden, because that's another 5. And that's 2. Yeah, we'll see. You know, we kind of run into this issue of where, oh no, now that they got the plant tokens going, that is it. That should be good. Yeah, that's going to be a good game. But then making that land drop for the turn, or using that Perilous to get that land on the battlefield, that pumped up those plant tokens. That's really going to make it to where they can swing in and do some pretty gnarly damage. And then, oh goodness, that's going to be Grand Warlord Rana swinging in. So let's go and toss the good game up to our opponent. Yeah, with those plant tokens swinging in, well, we'll wait and make sure they do decide to swing. Yeah, they're swinging in, so good game to our opponent. They're going to get that 14 mana. That is definitely what you expect from riding on the horse of no name with Maelstrom Wanderer. That is a very... pretty much what you kind of expect when you sit down and you're like, what kind of board state do you imagine with Maelstrom Wonder? And it's going to definitely be this. So, but yeah, with that time spiral, that really set the tone for our opponent. That allowed them to untap and get out from underneath that mana drain and just really set up a ton of value. We got close to setting it up, some sort of board state to kind of close the game out. You know, we had Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, we had different ways to kind of make tokens. But unfortunately, that was not enough for us to close it out, and our opponent took advantage of that. So, good game to our opponent. It's always nice to get to play against friends of the channel. And hopefully you see this. In fact, hey, good game. Glad we enjoyed it. Glad it was fun. And if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.